Well, everybody, hello, it's Julie again, and today is the 11th, and I'll try not to go off on any rants today, um, but I do have my opinion on stuff, and that's what this video is primarily about, my opinions and my thoughts uh, regarding what I read about coronavirus. Obviously, I always make sure to let you know I am not a medical person. I am definitely not mathematical or scientific in the brain at all. Um, so when I hypothesize about things, um, that's all that it is. It's just me thinking aloud. It's not anything I'm going to necessarily try to prove or claim is 100% true. So these are the graphs. Once again, I'm not a fan. Primarily because I am not analytical. But I know people like graphs, and these are graphs I didn't have to make. So, there you go. So we're looking, Hubei only has 13 new cases, but there's been 22 new deaths, but also 1,471 new recoveries. And the thing is, as I've stated in a few videos, it would be really good to know how many people are in Hubei. I'm sure it's way higher than this. I'm just feeling like the only reason we're seeing such low numbers, because if you look, when we get further down, you look at Iran, South Korea, Italy, and we look at all these other places and we're seeing these explosions. Once again, not to the level of Wuhan and Hubei, but that's because it's a whole new fresh area where the disease can just explode. But in Hubei, it's no longer a place where it can explode with the numbers it once did. Once again, that's all a theory for me. I'm not necessarily stating that to be fact, because I don't know anything. Once again, Shanghai now has 2 new cases, which is interesting. So there's supposed to be 22 still infected in Shanghai, but they had 4 new recoveries. So Shanghai's doing very well. And that's good. And we'll look at the live data in a minute. So this is globally. So, of course, China's still the dark one. But we're seeing some of the other countries and continents are getting a lot darker. So we're seeing in Italy, they have 977 new cases with 8,514 still infected and 168 new deaths. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying, like, we can sit here and be like, oh, it's calming down. It's calming down in the area where it was heaviest. But in areas where it's still likely that there is still a mass amount of people that have not come in contact with it and have not been infected, we can see right here, looking at these numbers, that the numbers really aren't decreasing. And I'm not talking about panic. I'm talking about common sense and being logical. And I made some comments in a previous video about LeBron James, but I really do appreciate the NBA looking at the fact that they may have to, for a short time, prevent large amounts of people from hanging out in the same area when this virus is still at the stage where it could be an explosion. And I really applaud them for taking that responsibility and thinking about ways to handle this appropriately, even though the numbers in America are a lot lower than we're seeing here in Italy. They have had 280 recover, so that's really good. France had 372 new cases and 8 new deaths, and Spain had 417 and 7 new deaths. So we're seeing numbers kind of exploding around the world now. In some countries, it's still really low. And, I mean, it would really take someone with, like, the desire to research this stuff, which is definitely not me. The one thing I hate about college is having to write papers, and I'm a writer. And the reason I hate it is because there's structure and research involved and just so much other stuff. So to me, I'd rather not. But if someone really started looking at these things, like where are these cases, in Bosnia, and there's only 7. So is it because it's like in an area where there's not a high population, a high concentration of people? You know what I mean? So it's just, it would require people actually taking time to invest. I'm not that kind of person. Iran has no new cases today, which is really good since they were having a major explosion. They have 5,020 that are still confirmed and 54 new deaths. But they had 337 recover, so that's really good. South Korea has 242 new ones and 26 new deaths. So let's go down to the U.S. here. 132 new cases, 3 new deaths. So, like I said, it's really easy for us to act like everything is calming down, but we can see that it just really depends where we're looking. Once again, though, don't panic, just be smart. I can't specify that enough. Like, here in China, we had our moments of fear, of course, and anxiety and everything. I was very lackadaisical when it first began. Like I said, I was in Sam's Club and people were wearing masks, and even the clerk was like, "You need a mask." I'm like, "I'm fine, dude, whatever." So, but when, like, a day or two after that everything just started shutting down and Disney wasn't opening anymore and all this chaos, and I'm like, oh, I probably should have taken it a bit more serious. I'm not saying I should have been all panicky, but I should have definitely been a bit more aware. Shanghai has done very well about keeping the virus to a minimum here. So, and how? By limiting things. Like I've said in another video, we were at the Cactus eating dinner, and there were 3 of us at the table, and when a 4th person of our group showed up, they made one of us move to a nearby table because there were only allowed 3 people at a table at a time. And so we had, when the 5th person showed up, we had 2 people at one table and 3 people at another table because they're trying to keep close contact of large groups to a minimum. And of course, your temperature's checked in every place. You have to have a mask to go anywhere. You try to walk into most places without a mask, they're not going to let you in. And these are just basic masks, not surgical masks. But just because of the possibility that you could have it, if you're strolling around without a mask, you're just infecting everybody. You just got to be smart. But this doesn't mean that you hoard masks. It doesn't mean that you stock up on masks. It's impossible to get masks in China right now. It's impossible for a lot of people to get hand sanitizer, bleach, and masks, even in places like the U.S. But anyway, moving on. So once again, here's some graphs for all you wonderfully analytic people. I feel like we always need a nice mix of people. We need our people that can look at these graphs and appreciate them for what they are, and you people like me that are just like, whatever, it's just a line on a thing. Math and I never got along. Well, let's take a look at Hubei real quick, because I always shut that off. So, of course, we know that the apex of all of this was Wuhan. So, we look at those numbers. So, we'd have to know the population of these provinces. So, we could have a better feel. Like I said, research, guys. I'm not not keen on it. So, we see with Shanghai, unidentified area. Baoshan still only has 21. So 3 cases still happening, and Jianding, where I live, still only has 2. So, I mean, really, it's nothing to panic. And then once again, these are live numbers. So, there's 10,000 plus cases in Italy with 631 dead. Iran has 8,000 plus with 291 dead. South Korea has 7,755 with 80 dead. So these are by the numbers. America should be right up in here. 959 with 30 dead. And then, of course, we have that cruise ship that docked in California. But we're not really getting anything from that at this moment. So, probably hear about it in a little bit. So he visited Wuhan. That's interesting. There's how the numbers on, not the numbers, but the countries about where it's spread so far. So Italy deaths jumped to 631. It is the highest single day toll to date since the outbreak started in the European country. Uh, Beijing will extend its winter heating season. Beijing is another one of the highly polluted air pollution areas. When you go to see the Great Wall, you have to go at a certain time of year. You have to be very careful because you can go when it's like insanely packed with tourists, and then you have like no room to do anything or take good photos or anything. If you go in the winter, it's highly polluted because of all the smoke and all that. I don't know. You just have to pick the right time, and I want to go to the Great Wall this year, so I need to figure that out. Obviously, not any time in the next couple months, but I need to figure that out. It's going to be lifted gradually. All right, so this green color health code thing is something that launched like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe, where you could, through Alipay, you could get a QR code that showed if you were infected or have ever been near. I don't even know how it works. It's all in Chinese. So they finally launched it in WeChat. I'll show you at the end of the video if I remember, but they finally launched it in WeChat. But you have to put in your ID number, and it won't accept mine. It won't accept my passport number. And the thing is, with China, there's a lot of things. So a lot of times your given name is first. So Doolittle would be first on mine. My last name would be first, and then everything else would follow that. But sometimes, like some of the apps, you can't put spaces. So like you have to write your name as one long name. And you're supposed to write, it depends if you're supposed to write the last name first or the first name first. And then you have to write your name like it appears on your passport sometimes. You can't put spaces. Sometimes it has to be all capital letters. Sometimes you have to put spaces, or it can't be all capital. It is so confusing. Everybody's different. It's crazy. But anyway, so supposedly there's this green QR code. I have not gotten mine to work. I truly don't really care. I just wanted to see what it was like, but I couldn't get it to work. And after a couple of tries, I'm like, this is not life or death. It's not like I need that. So I didn't do it. But apparently, people who want to leave Hubei are going to need that. So, 54 deaths in Iran, the highest toll. Morocco and Lebanon record first death. 89-year-old, and the other one doesn't. 56-year-old. Turkey has its first case. They're going to give money to tackle the coronavirus crisis. Top 5 hardest hit countries. There's another graph for you. Spain, South Korea, Italy, Iran, France. Outside China. So there you go. They closed all makeshift hospitals. The last of the 14 makeshift hospitals in Wuhan City discharged its final patient. The city had opened cabin hospitals on February 5th and then repurposed venues. These repurposed venues have treated more than 12,000 people. Mild cases. Panama confirms its first case, a 40-year-old woman. She had traveled from Spain. Google tells less than 100,000 employees to stay home until at least April 10th. And banning ads. Albania closes schools, stops Italy flights and ferries. Confirmed case on New York trading floor. Well, that's gonna be bad. I've only seen like movie stuff, but you don't even think about that. The stock exchange trading floors are insane amounts of people running all over the place and shouting and everything. So that's, I didn't even think about that. There's stuff I don't think about. That's just me. All right. States of emergency. I'm not going to try to say that because I always mispronounce Massachusetts. See? It's one of the states I struggle to say. Colorado, North Carolina. But I can say Latinyaga, and a lot of people can't say that, so. Take what you get. Harvard shuts classrooms and goes totally online. Very brilliant. Greece shuts schools and universities for 2 weeks. Austria to deny entry to travelers from Italy. Entry for travelers from Italy. Thank you, doggo. Other measures include canceling university lectures and encouraging companies to allow employees to work from home. Definitely in Italy, that is important. That's what happens when you're not thinking. Italy is important. I feel like big corporations like Google and all that have the capacity for their employees to work from home, brilliant to safeguard your employees like that. The thing is, you look at other places, and and especially in America, and there's a lot of jobs you cannot do from home. Like you cannot cashier from home. You can't, like when I worked for the state, I couldn't have done that job from home. I didn't have access to their system from home. And obviously, because I was working with child support enforcement, so I shouldn't have access to their thing from home, right? I didn't have, you don't have your paperwork, and you can't take your paperwork home. Once again, it's obvious why that should be a thing. So like there's times when you can't. So like some people would do the stagger thing where 50% of your employees come in the morning, 50% of your employees come in at night. In the afternoon. So that you just like stagger the workforce. There's ways to approach it. I would, if I owned like a store like Walmart, I would be making sure that my employees were wearing their masks, and I'd be like, I know that this like seems ludicrous, but I'm not doing this to protect the customers, which I know is going to sound like whatever, but I'm doing it to protect my staff, because if someone comes in with the coronavirus not knowing they're sick and they're interacting with my cashier and they're not being protected, you know what I mean? Because you can't protect everybody, but you do have a responsibility to your employees. Denmark cancels flights from severely affected countries. I'm having a really hard time speaking today, guys. I think it's because I know I have to get ready to leave. So I'm trying to rush through this. New travel restrictions. I'm just going to scroll through this. I'm not going to read them. If you want, you can pause the video and read if you're concerned about any of these. If you're planning any kind of travel, it'd be good to know this. But anyway, moving on. I'm not planning any travel. I was going to go, like I've said, I was going to go to Hong Kong Disneyland now at the beginning of April. And I'm really sad because I went at the beginning of April last year, and I was kind of feeling like, oh, it'd be good to kind of continue that and go again this year. And I can't now, and I'm very sad about that. I'm going to try to go to Disney Town when they reopen. But I'll see if I can get some people that want to go. Because I've gone alone many times. I'd rather not go alone again. The Vatican closes St. Peter's Square to tourists. Berlin cancels large cultural events. Smart. What I'm saying. The Czech Republic closing schools and banning events. Smart. Foreign visitors will have to pay if they are treated for COVID-19 at Singapore's public hospitals to prioritize resources given to expected rise in cases. Interesting. Testing of foreign visitors, people on short-term visit passes, will still be free, while residents and those on long-term passes will continue to receive free testing and treatment at government facilities. Mongolia has barred anyone from entering or living its cities for 6 days. Wow. I mean, good, but yeah. Oh, look, he changes his tune. There you go, LeBron James. You do that. Because, duh, Well, let's read this. Let's see what it says. I know I'm gloating, but, like, his statement was totally beyond selfish. Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James walked back his Friday statement that he would not play without fans in arenas as a measure to combat the spread of coronavirus. When I was asked the question, would you play without fans, I had no idea that it was actually a conversation going on behind closed doors about the virus. Whatever. Whatever. Why else would they ask that question, dude? Ridiculous. So obviously I'd be very disappointed not having the fans because that's what I play for. I'd be disappointed in that. But at the same time, you got to listen to the people that are keeping track of what's going on, he said. Yeah, you better backpedal, buddy. That's all I'm going to say. Because that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. You'll have to watch my other video to hear what I thought of that. But you better darn well backpedal, mister. Oh yeah, duh. That had a backlash? Who would have thought my selfish words would have a backlash? I'm just going to say, and I shouldn't be laughing about this, but I'm just saying, like, well, I didn't understand why they would ask such a question. Why do you think they'd ask such a question? And I doubt they didn't say, like he's making it, would you play without fans? I doubt they said it like that. They probably said, if we had to prevent large gatherings because of coronavirus, would you play without the fans? And he probably legitimately said, no, I wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. I could be wrong, though. Maybe they did ask in a dumb way that didn't make sense to a person that's obviously intelligent. But okay, whatever. Whatever you want to say. Backpedal, backpedal. I would rather just tell the truth, guys. Like, legitimately. If I say something stupid and then someone's like, did you legitimately say that? Or did you... I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, because I wasn't thinking. Like, I would legitimately own up. Because I have to say, the problem with a lot of these things, politicians, celebrities, blah, 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 is like I've said before, they have their platform and they just run with it. And then when they get called out on it, they backpedal so fast. And you're like, dude, either own it or just be like, yeah, you know what, dude, I was stupid. Like, that was just a dumb comment to say and I'm sorry. And I'm just going to throw this out here for free. I hate, beyond a shadow of a doubt, when people demand an apology. I hate that so much. That is one of the most stupid things to do, people, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you demand that apology, that is not a genuine apology. It means absolutely nothing. When you make a person apologize, they're not sorry. They're just saying it to pacify you. Who wants that? I don't. I would rather a person genuinely apologize without me having to demand it from them than me saying, I want you to say you're sorry. And they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then what can you do? You didn't mean it. Dude, you told me to say I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. What more do you want from me? And that's legitimately the truth. They don't have to mean it at that point. You gave them the out. They're not going to be sorry. It's and the truest form of apology, and I'm going to say this without any hesitation, the truest form of apology is not doing it again. Is not doing it again. But you demand apologies from people, and what the heck? You know what I mean? And I don't know, whatever. That's my thought. There's my 2 cents. United Nations headquarters in New York to close doors to visitors. Once again, smart. So as I said, I'm saying be smart. Just be smart about how you're handling these things. All right, so let me show you. So much stuff. Let me show you here. So we go, we go into WeChat Pay, and this is it, the antivirus code. But once again, look, Chinese, you click on this, and then you're supposed to fill in this information to get your code. And you can do facial recognition, and you fill in your ID. And I mean, it might work today. I'm not going to try. If I manage to figure this out, maybe I'll try later. If I manage to figure this out and actually get a green code, I will show you guys what it looks like. But yeah, I'm not going to go through all that. Yeah, I know. I'm not interested. It's okay. You don't have to. It's fine. Don't panic. But yeah. So, that's what we have for today. I'm gonna head out. My laziness is combating the fact that I found out that I'm only 11 kilometers away from Costco, which means I don't need to pay for a Didi. And this is just, once again, random fact to close out my video, but Costco is really far from the metro station. So you get to this metro station, there's no bikes around there, like, that you can rent. So you call a Didi or you get on the bus. You get to the Costco and you shop. Then you get a Didi or you bike. And I found a bike and biked back to the metro station, and there was nowhere I could park the bike. So I didn't think about that. And it was a long bike ride, by the way. So you Didi back to the metro station. But if you buy something that you're not allowed to take on the metro, then you have to Didi home. And I lived a lot further away the first time I went to Costco, so I have not gone back. But the other day I was looking into it, and I was like, it's 11 kilometers. I think my scooter can make a round trip without being charged. So that's, well, it can, because my scooter can go up to 40 kilometers, depending on how fast I go. And I go fast, so it probably gets about 35 kilometers. But my round trip to work is 36 kilometers, and it can make it without being charged. I charge it mid-point, but it can make it without charging it. So it could definitely make it to Costco again and back. So I need to just get ready to get that going, but I'll probably just post this update. Sorry to leave it on this boring page, but I don't want to go back to anything else. I don't want you to see my chats because other people have sent stuff, and that's none of your business. Yeah, there's my thoughts. I did go off on a couple rants, but I feel like they were okay rants. And once again, guys, this is just my opinion. This is my update from Shanghai. If you don't like what I have to say, you can do your own. It's a free country in America. I'm in China, but you can upload on YouTube your own videos. So, I suggest that you do. In fact, I think it's good to get various forms of opinion out there. But thanks for listening.